So let's talk feed-in braids. Feed-in braids is a very popular style. If you master this technique, you will be able to expand your brand and your clientele in so many different ways. You can do it in so many different ways, and we're also going to add the boho look to it today. So we're going to start off with parting, and I'm going to go through the steps for you. So first things first is you want to prep the hair. Prepping is very important. It saves time and it makes you look even more professional by having this step done before your clients enter. So as you can see, my client has a little color that has grown out on the ends of her hair. So we're gonna play with those by mixing these colors together. So you can see a 1B30 mix here, and then we're gonna add some 27 boho to the end. Okay, so what I like to do when parting my client's hair is I like to have a needle comb because it helps with parting. And then this new comb that they have out, which has an opening here, which also helps you be more precise with your parting. I also go in with my jam that I use for the hair, and I put that on my finger, and I place it exactly where I want that part to go. By doing this, it'll help the hairs be more in the direction, and then your parting will be made easier. So by placing that product, I'm able to literally just go right in and make that part clean as I want it to be. And we're gonna follow that all the way down to the back using product to help us with that direction. And combing the hair to the side that you want it to go. Also, another important thing to note is that when your clients are coming in for braids, you do not want them to have a lot of oil on their hair, because this will create buildup and also cause like a resistance of the jam that you're using. So you want to do the oiling last. So now that we have our part down the middle, we're going to go ahead and clip this side of the hair out of the way so we can do equal parts on our right side, and we're going to have a small braid in between each of our larger braids. Also, when you're doing your parts, you want to check it from a few angles because sometimes it might get a little tricky and you want to make sure things are as perfect as possible. So I'm going to stand in the front of my client. And another trick for doing your middle part, you can place that needle comb right down the middle and then go straight back so you're able to clean up just a tad bit more. Okay, so now that we have our left side parted, we're gonna go ahead and pre-do our partings for the next one. This is optional, but if you're starting out and you wanna get it as crisp as possible, I would highly suggest doing this because doing straight backs can be very tricky sometimes, so I would suggest this step. And also, whatever you want to leave out for edges, go ahead and comb those to the front. So I place my product, starting my part, and applying more product to help guide me. To avoid having so many clips in the hair, you also can opt to just do a plait and lean that over to the side that you are not doing at the moment. As we work from side to side. So now we just finished the pre-parting on the right side of her head, and we're gonna go ahead and start with our first braid, which will be the small braid that will be in between each of the larger braids. When you're doing this part, you wanna take the end of your needle and start your part about a ½ inch back from the beginning, just going straight back, and we're gonna stop the parting about halfway through. We will not be taking this small braid all the way down. That way, when we do our larger braid, we'll connect that end. So with this smaller braid, we're going to do just our traditional cornrow. We're not adding any hair. This is only the client's natural hair that will be braided into this braid. So you're going to part into 3 sections and then begin your braid. Please remember to use very light tension on this smaller braid because it's not a lot of hair, and you want to make sure that there's no extra pulling or tugging. If you see something along the way that's getting in there, just go ahead and slide it down. Once you finish that braid, you're just gonna braid it partially down. You don't have to finish the whole thing because we're gonna add that in. So we'll stop about right here. Now that this braid is complete, we're gonna put more of our jam on our hand, making sure we get it really good on those parts and straighten everything into the direction that we want it to go. So you're gonna lay it and smooth it. The smoothness of this will also be determined by how well your client's hair is blown out prior to coming in. You do not need to press their hair before doing this. Just a good blow dry, and you should be good to lay their hair down. So now that we have the hair combed in the direction that we would like it to go, we're gonna take that needle and make our first parting for our feed-in braid. Remember, it is called a feed-in braid because you are literally feeding the hair in as you go. So I'm gonna part our hair into 3 sections and then begin a traditional cornrow. Once I do about 2 braids back, I'll begin to grab hair from my rack and begin feeding it in. So I'm gonna lay this hair around my finger, pushing it up under and into the braid that I was already doing, and then continue braiding back. Once I get to this piece, I'm gonna grab the hair that was left out and add it in. This is where you get your feed in. So I'll go back 2 more, and then I will begin adding another piece in. So once you braid back, you wanna wrap this around, grab that piece of hair up under your finger, continue on with your braid. In the excess piece that is hanging, you want to tuck that up under. This is how you make it look as if it's going from small to big and look very uniform. And you're literally just gonna continue this pattern all the way down to the back. If you notice, once I get to the back, I haven't added any more hair yet. That's because the consistency of the braid is starting to get a little bigger, and I want it to stay looking like that. So I won't add any more hair until about 2 more braids down. This will come with judgment over time. Wrap that around your finger, tuck it up under, continue braiding, and then you're gonna grab the excess piece, tuck it under at the bottom. Make sure to grab more product if you need to, because we want this to be as smooth as possible. If you see that the client's natural hair is starting to come through, add more product on each of the strands. Take your comb and smooth that through. And you have to repeat this as much as possible to keep it looking very nice and neat. Now that I'm at the bottom and I want it to look more thick, I'm going to take 2 of those pieces together, feed that in at the bottom, and continue my flat. Now, because we're doing the boho look and we're adding in some colors, we're also going to feed in randomly our curly pieces. So what you do in this step is you add the hair to the bottom of the braid where you were already braiding. I would suggest braiding in about 2 times before you let anything hang out, just to make sure everything is good and tucked away. And once that piece of hair pops up on the top, you want to lean that to the front and continue on your braid. This makes sure that it is secured. As I'm braiding down and I have the other piece, I want that to be on the opposite side. So it has popped up here. I'm gonna let that hang out and continue braiding and add on 1 more piece of hair. That one piece was the longer piece, and we will continue with the curly pieces as well. I got one here. I'm gonna lay that to the side and continue braiding. I have another one here. I'm gonna lay that to the side and continue braiding. And you will complete this all the way down to the desired look that the client wants. We're gonna do hers. We're gonna give her a little length today. Let that piece hang out. Keep braiding. Let this piece hang out. And keep braiding. If you are new and this part is hard for you to do to keep braiding, you also can keep a clip near you and clip those hairs up. Once I get down to the end of her braid, I want to take more hair for the ends, and I'm gonna do a bigger addition here. I'll braid down about 3 to 4 times, however much you're comfortable. And then we're going to wrap. So I'm gonna take a piece of hair, wrap it around her braid 2 times, taking my finger, making a loop, pulling it through, and we're going to tie. So we made our loop, split this in half, and we're going to tie. Three to 4 times. This is what the end of your braid is going to look like, and we're going to cut this straight hair at the end. And we're literally going to repeat that process all the way throughout this whole style. We're going to do another walkthrough of this part. So I already have some product here. So I'm going to go in with my needle comb from the back, making my part about 1/2 inch behind her hair, parting back. Because we're not taking these braids all the way back, you want to see where you stopped the previous braid and make sure that your line for the next one is close to it. So I'm going to come back just a little bit more. And then those braids are about the same length back. Placing more product on her part. And we are beginning our traditional cornrow. Again, we are not adding any hair at this moment. And we're using very light tension to make sure that there's no pulling on her hair. By laying the hair in the direction that you want it to go, that also helps with taking tension away because you don't have to pull it to make it go a certain way. So that's why doing directions is very important. Again, once you get to the end of your smaller braid, you just want to braid it down just a tad bit because again, we're going to add that into our braid. So you should have this. A bigger braid, a small one, bigger, small. For the beginning of our braid, we're going to take this needle comb, slice that very first part where we want to start our braid, comb it up. And begin our traditional braid here. We're going back about 3 braids. And then we're going to add our first piece of hair in. Because our hair is a little thinner right here in the front, I split the first one into 2 pieces and I'm adding in faster. Over here, I did about 2 times back before I added in, but I'm just gonna do more here so that she's still getting the same amount of hair, but it's not looking like I just threw all the hair in at one time. So we're gonna go over how to feed in again. You're gonna grab your one piece of hair, wrap it around your hand, grabbing it with your pinky, pushing that piece of hair up and into your braid, continuing on braiding back. In the excess piece of hair that you have here, You're gonna push that up and into your braid. Repeating that step all the way to the back. Around your hand, under your pinky, into the braid, braid back, and tuck under. Please do not forget throughout this process that if you see that the hair is starting to look puffy, you want to put your product on and comb it through, because a lot of clients are natural and you do not want their braids and the texture of the hair that's being added not to look like they match. Around your hand, under your pinky, into the braid, braid down and under. So Dawn is one of my regular clients and she often gets feed-in braids. Can you tell us what you like about feed-in braids?
Yes, I love just how you can wear it wherever you want to go. It's very versatile. I like wearing it when I'm going, to the beach, and even just like an everyday type of hairstyle when I'm going into the office at work. So it's very versatile and it's cute.
It is cute, especially with the boho on the end.
Oh yeah, that's a great texture to it.
So we're back at the bottom, adding in more product because we can see her hair coming out. Combing that through. We are now taking 2 pieces of the hair that we have sliced, adding that in at the bottom and braiding down. We're gonna pull this piece of hair back to the back just so we can see where we started pulling our pieces of hair at, just to make sure everything is very seamless. So we have our colored piece, tuck that in at the bottom, start braiding in about 2 times. Once that hair comes up at the top, leave it out. Once it comes back up on the opposite side, leave it out. And you just follow this pattern all the way down. I'm gonna add in another piece of the length hair just for thickness. We're leaving out a piece here. Another piece on the opposite side. I'm used to grabbing these pieces with my hands, but remember you can also use a clip if you need more help with that. And I'm gonna add in one more piece, letting it fall out on each side before we do our hair at the bottom. Let that hang. And let that hang. Make sure you're measuring. So I have about 1 inch left to braid down before I add in and tie off the ends. So I'm going to grab me some of my colored pieces, add that into the bottom, braid it down 3 to 4 times. Now I'm going to take this piece of hair, wrap it around, make a knot, then we're going to split this in half and tie. And this is what our braids are looking like. And we're ready to move on to our next braid. This style is super cute, super fun, super easy, and as you can see, it does not take a lot of time, especially when you have the prep work done. So now that we are in the middle, this skinny braid is going to be down the center. I already have product still on here from where we put it on there earlier. Now we are moving into our traditional feed-in braid. No, our traditional braid. You are not adding any hair into this braid, just the client's natural hair. Now that we finished that braid, braid it down just a tad bit. And we are ready to move into our feed-in that this braid will be connected to. Taking the bottom of my comb, slicing that first part out, literally repeating the same steps over and over again. Side of her hair with her curly ends hanging out, and then we're going to cut the straight parts at the end. So everything that we did on this side, now we're going to complete on this side. So now that we have completed the exact same steps that we did on our right side, on our left, we now have our finished look, and you can see our braids here and our curls. So we're going to lay our baby hairs. We're going to spray it down to make sure that it stays intact, and we're going to also trim the ends. When you trim your ends, you do not want them to be blunt. So it's very important that you have a razor or razor comb near. I'll show you here. When you cut, you literally want to slice down the end of the braid. Okay? And you're gonna repeat that throughout the bag. So I'll show you here. Then we're going to take our gem that we were using, lay it along the hairs that we lift out, create our baby hairs. We have our comb here, brush on this side, comb on this side. And you're going to swoop them how your client likes them, or I know one of the new things is people are going different ways, so you determine what your client likes. You're going to do it all straight here. Those hairs up into the braid. And the sideburns also do as well. And we're going to do that on the other side as well. Comb that hair down to the front and swoop. Comb this hair down to the front and slide in. And then Now that we have all of that exactly how we want it to be, we're going to take some setting foam to lock it in, give it a shake. Lay that over the baby hairs and the sideburns and along the braids. Once we have that on there, we're going to take some of our got to be holding spray that we use for a very firm hold, and we're going to spray that. Close your eyes. We're going to spray that in and take our dryer on a cool setting to set that in. Now that that is done, our last step, we're going to take our foam of your choice, and we're going to put that on the ends of the hair that we left out for the boho look, so they'll become more like a wave. And then you will also tell your clients to do this at home for aftercare. If they feel like the hair is getting fuzzy or frizzy, you just take your foam, put that in, and it will bring those curls right on back. This is perfect for going to the beach, a quick trip. Feel like you got a little weave in, a little braid all in one. And that is it. Once you finish all of these steps, you have successfully finished your feed-in braid.